In 1959, the Sands of Forvie was declared a National Nature Reserve. It lies between the villages of Newborough and Colliston in the northeast of Scotland. It's bordered by the Eithne Estuary to the west and the North Sea to the east. Forvie is particularly renowned for its birds. The mudflats of the Eithne Estuary provide a rich food source for a number of species of waders and wildfowl. Many species use Forvie as a resting and feeding stop during spring and autumn migrations. Several also overwinter here. In the summer, this includes a large breeding colony of eider ducks and 4 types of breeding terns. The estuary mouth is a well-known site for grey and common seals, where they haul out on sandbanks in large numbers. The best place to view them is from the golf course side of the estuary. Further out, you can sometimes see dolphins and porpoises. There is a circular walk through the reserve starting at the waterside car park. Be warned, get there early as it gets quite busy at weekends. The walk starts through a small conifer plantation. Today we're doing the walk in a clockwise direction so as to have the wind behind on the homeward leg. At the end of the plantation, we turn left onto a farm track towards Forvie Heath. On the left is a field where a local aeromodeller club used to fly their aircraft. Today it looks very abandoned. There's a short climb to get up onto the coastal heathland. If you're lucky, you might see a roe deer or fox or stoat running across your path. Rabbits have almost been wiped out by myxomatosis. Those that survived have become inbred, resulting in several unusual fur colourings. Black, ginger and sandy-coloured rabbits can occasionally be seen. Frogs and toads are found in the wetter parts of the reserve. This little bridge crosses the burn which supplied water for the medieval village of Forvie. The village church, which is dedicated to St. Adamnan, was constructed in the 12th century. St. Adamnan was a 7th century abbot on the Isle of Iona. The church has become a ruin by the 15th century. Local folk history tells of a 9-day storm that led to the village being buried by sand in August 1413. You might think the village had been cursed, and you might be right. When the local laird died, his 3 daughters were due to inherit his land. To deny them their inheritance, the villagers put the daughters in a leaky boat and pushed the boat out to sea. They screamed a curse at the village, swearing that nothing would grow in the fields but thistles, marram grass and sand. If the daughter's curse is difficult to believe, perhaps the folk of Forvie were cursed by God for being papists and grossly ignorant. At least that's what a reforming preacher called Masson wrote in 1570. Whatever the truth, the village was abandoned, although the fields were probably worked for a few years until they too succumbed to the sand. The Kirk was excavated in 1957-58, revealing it to be a plain oblong structure. There is a rectangular ombre in the north wall of the chancel. In the Middle Ages, an ombre was a cabinet in the wall of a Christian church, which was used to store chalices and other vessels. Excavations near the Kirk have revealed the foundations of several medieval buildings. We're now taking a short walk downhill to Rock End. For the first time, the sea comes into view. Close to the beach are the remains of the old salmon netting bothy. It looks as if it too will soon be covered by sand dunes. Traditional bag netting was used here to intercept and catch the salmon as they swam close to the shore. Salmon swim along the coast looking for the mouth of the Eithon River to take them to their spawning grounds further inland. A bag net has a long vertical wall of netting running at right angles to the shoreline that interrupts the swimming fish. It directs them along it, away from the shore and into a series of traps. At low tide, the fish are exposed in the traps and it's easy to lift them out. Salmon fishing continued on this beach here until the year 2000. The sand dunes end here and are replaced by rocky cliffs. From here, we're taking a short detour up onto the cliff path to visit Hackley Bay. This spectacular bay is well worth the extra walk north. If you're lucky, you might even get the place to yourself. The coastal path, although a little muddy in places, provides great views of the cliffs and Hackley Head. There are some stone steps on the south side of the bay that take you down to the sandy beach. A perfect spot for a summer picnic. Forvie Moor in the north of the reserve was used to train soldiers in the Second World War in the use of grenades and mortars. After the war, the Royal Engineers cleared the mines and explosives. Mortar bombs have since been found on the moor. Some bomb craters are also still visible in the area. On our return to Rock End, our walk is now south along the magnificent Forvie Sands beach. During the Second World War, this beach was seen as a possible landing area for a German invasion from Norway. It was heavily mined and defended. Norwegian soldiers were deployed to patrol the beach. During one such patrol, an abandoned dinghy was found. This sparked a search for a spy thought to have been landed by submarine. The spy was eventually caught in the Murray area. At the end of the last ice age, as the ice sheet melted, large quantities of sand and sediment were deposited into the North Sea. Over the centuries, sand has been washed ashore, forming Forvie's sand dunes, one of the largest areas of blown sand in Scotland. The dune system begins a little north of Aberdeen, continues past Balmedy, and, as we saw earlier in our walk, ends by the cliffs at Rockend. The Sahara-like sand dunes were used to train the Gordon Highlanders and the Highland Light Infantry in desert warfare during the Second World War. Local residents were only allowed to visit on a Sunday when there was no live firing. They were obliged to keep to the paths, but this didn't prevent them from collecting bird eggs to supplement wartime rationing. We've now reached one of the highest points on the dunes, and the village of Newborough can be seen across the Eithne estuary. This viewpoint is a great place to get a view up and down the Eithne estuary. In the 19th century, Newborough was the main seaport for the nearby town of Ellon. Tea clippers and other ships sailed to and from Newborough Quay, delivering cargoes of tea and coal. During the Second World War, German bombers targeted the village, trying to destroy the quayside. They had no success. Bombs missed the village, with most landing in the estuary. We're now heading downhill back to the path that takes us back to the waterside car park.